Welcome to Module 1 of AAC's Professional Development Training. We appreciate your willingness to participate in these short modules designed to familiarize yourself with some of our daily practices and concepts. There will be a short quiz at the end for you to complete, but don't worry too much about the score. This presentation and the quiz will take you approximately 15 to 20 minutes to complete. So if you're ready, let's begin. First, let's ask ourselves, what is intellectual humility? What are we talking about here? Well, intellectual humility is the willingness to recognize that we're not always correct, and for some, that's difficult to admit. Yet overall, being open to the ideas of others and that you may not always be correct makes you a good team player and a valuable asset to the program. Intellectual humility, it's not a weakness, it's not a character flaw, it doesn't make you a bad person. It's about being open to the idea that we all have cognitive blind spots and that somebody may have a really good idea, even better than the one you have, and being okay with that. And for some, that's a difficult virtue to develop. Let's take a look at how we can gauge our intellectual humility. So to test our current level of intellectual humility, we can ask ourselves 4 questions. Number 1, do I think like a soldier or a scout? Number 2, would I rather be right or would I rather understand? Number 3, do I solicit and seek out opposing views? And number 4, do I enjoy the pleasant surprise of discovering I'm mistaken? Let's take a look at each one of these questions a little bit closer. So first, do I think like a soldier or a scout? Both are important positions, and each has its time and place. But let's focus on being a scout first. A scout explores new territory, a soldier takes a defensive position. So if we're a scout first, we can remind ourselves to seek new opportunities to learn and understand the current situation. It's always great to hear the opinions of others and how they may work to solve a problem so that everybody can kind of pick and choose as to the best way to proceed. And each encounter with a colleague or a manager or employee is an important opportunity to learn something new or to see something from a different point of view. And even more so, evaluate it against your own point of view. And it's not about giving in. It's not about letting somebody tell you that you're wrong and that your way is not the right way to do it. But it's important to recognize that that may be what we learn after that interaction. After being a scout and being open to the ideas of others, if after observing, listening, and evaluating the positions of others as a scout, and you believe your methodology is still better for the current situation, you can discuss that. Being a soldier should not about taking aggressive position. And it's not about forcing your viewpoint on others, the same way you would not want them to force their point of view onto you. So ask yourself, do you think like a soldier or a scout? Number 2, would I rather be right or would I rather understand? Understanding involves assimilating new ideas for long-term knowledge. It's about getting a good view of the situation. It demonstrates a willingness to be collaborative, and it promotes a team mentality. More importantly, it shows respect for others and the ideas of others. It tells other people that you value them as a team member. Being right, on the other hand, is a short-lived victory. It demonstrates an assertive or aggressive need to be recognized, and instead of showing respect or earning respect, it demands respect, which is not always a good thing. Understanding is far more valuable than being right, in my opinion. If you've ever had an argument with a spouse, a friend, or a relative, you may feel that you won the argument. But at what cost? Did you force your viewpoint to win? Is your victory at the cost of a relationship? So it's important to ask ourselves, would I rather be right or would I rather understand? Let's go on to the next one. Do I solicit and seek out opposing views. Well, this happens quite a bit when you're working with others on a project. Differences in opinion are a healthy part of working on a team. But it's the way you handle these differences that really shows a lack of intellectual humility or a very strong intellectual humility. And it can be something as simple as the way you speak with others. The words you use can convey that you're open to others' thoughts or ideas. Or it may show that you don't even care about other people's viewpoints. So, for example, when having a discussion, you could say, "You don't agree with me," which is it's a little defensive, versus, "Tell me if you disagree and we can talk." The second one shows that you're willing to listen to the ideas of others and that you're willing to admit that maybe your way is not the right way, especially if somebody has a better way. Seeking and considering opposing views doesn't mean the other person's automatically correct. Remember, it's not about giving in. And it's not meant to challenge an opposing viewpoint. It's meant to challenge your own point of view. So ask yourself, do I solicit and seek out opposing views? And question number 4, do I enjoy the pleasant surprise of discovering I'm mistaken? Well, this one's the tough one, because this is the one where you have to admit that we might be wrong. And not too many people like being wrong, and for good reason. Yet being wrong doesn't have to have a negative feeling. For some, it means that, okay, they were wrong, but now they know a way forward. They know a way that's not going to work. So, for example, Thomas Edison, I believe this has to do with when he was inventing the light bulb. He went through many, many, many different failures, but he says, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And eventually, he did find the way forward. So being wrong is not a failure. Being wrong can also be looked at as learning something new. So it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to let others be wrong as well. So ask yourself, do I enjoy the pleasant surprise of discovering I'm mistaken? It's not an easy one. So how can we increase our intellectual humility? Well, there's some little things that you can do to do that. First, it involves changing your thinking. Just being open to the idea that, you're not always right. It's about the desire to recognize your blind spots. What is it that I don't see? What is it that others can help me see? When dealing with others, remember, there's no punishment for being wrong. It's just being human. And people shouldn't judge you for being wrong, especially if you acknowledge that they've helped you understand something. And as you wouldn't want to be told that you're wrong, you shouldn't judge others for being wrong either. It's important to remind ourselves to have an open mind with others and remember that they're looking at the same problem from a different point of view. So they may have some really valuable information to offer. Be open to that information. Being humble doesn't mean giving up on your convictions. Again, it's not about giving in. It just means we need to be thoughtful in choosing our convictions, being open to changing them, and consistently asking ourselves why what we believe. Finally, intellectual humility is a topic that's widely written about online. So be sure to explore some materials to gain a better understanding of this important concept. You can go right to Google. Google has a lot of information about intellectual humility, and you can read through some of the papers, and it's really very interesting. In the end, it just makes you a better team player. The material in this presentation was developed from Daniel H. Pink's Pinkcast entitled, "This is How to Boost Your Intellectual Humility," as well as Intellectual Humility, The Importance of Knowing You Might Be Wrong by Brian Resnick. As I mentioned, there's a lot of materials out there on the internet involving intellectual humility. These were just a couple of the ones that I found interesting and used to create this presentation. I encourage you to seek out some further information. So thanks for completing this training module. If you look down below, you'll see a link to the quiz. And if that's not there, just let us know. We'd be happy to help you out. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.